Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second live of this month. The first live was on the With My Ex Again website or the YouTube channel, and this one obviously is on the Happily Committed channel. So, if this is your first time joining a live, if you've been or if you've attended lives before, let me know. I always love to interact with you guys. So, usually, how I like to do this is I give it a couple of minutes just to let people join. But in the meantime, tell me who you are, where you're from. If this is your first time joining a live, if you've been here before, just let me know. Drop that in the comment box right down below. If you guys don't know what we're talking about today, today is actually a question and answer, a live Q&A. This is something that I like to do twice a month, basically, where I kind of just sit and answer your questions regarding your relationship, anything that you're currently going through. Please keep in mind, I don't always have the ability to get to every single question. And a lot of that obviously has to do with time restrictions. So these lives are usually about 20 minutes. If you don't know who I am, my name is Danny, and I'm one of the head coaches here for the Happily Committed Project. And yeah, it's amazing to be able to be on here with you guys. So again, fire up that chat box. Let me know who you are, where you're from, and if this is your first time on a live. And also, if somebody can just confirm for me that you can hear me, that would be amazing. So again, I'll give it about a minute or two just to let people join the room, and then we can just take it from there. Hello from Dubai. Dun, dun, dun. All right, so just give it a minute or two more before we jump right into the question and answer. Let's see. So, Clark, I see that you already have a question. All right, I will queue that up. And just to let you guys know, so I usually try to go in order of the questions that are received. So, depending on how much time is left, how many of the questions that I've gotten through, sometimes I will also just kind of mix it up, switch it up. So I'll just randomly select questions that are asked. Perfect. Brandon, hello, how's it going? Okay, perfect. So I got your question. Career Clinic TZ. I can hear you, coach. Perfect. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that you guys could hear me because that could be a bit of a problem if you couldn't. All right. Tiffany, hello. How's it going? Give me one sec, guys. All right. Roller Girl, hello from Las Vegas. How's it going? Hello from Ontario, Canada. That is awesome. Boo, how's it going? Okay, so let's just jump right into these questions, all right? Because I'm getting some questions on here, so I'd rather just be able to start to answer them. So let's go right into it. So Clark, I will start with your question. So it says, I've sent an accountability letter 1.5 months ago. She said she's happy I'm doing so well, but isn't ready to connect yet. thoughts on next steps? And then you also followed that up by saying, I've been doing a no contact for 8 months and it was a 5-year relationship. Okay, so if you sent the accountability letter a month and a half ago, obviously, usually my rule of thumb is to give it, let's say, about a month, right? To see what the response is. Obviously, you already got a response. She says she's happy to see that you're doing well and all of those things, which means the response was a positive response. Now, sometimes what happens is that we kind of get stuck into this place of wanting our ex to be the one to initiate, to engage in all of those things, which I understand because to a certain degree, that allows us to maintain a level of control, that allows us to maintain the high ground, the power in the situation, all those types of things. But you have to take a step back and really evaluate what your end goal is, right? So if for you, you really want to be able to reconnect with your ex and you want to be able to build a new dynamic and all of those things, right? Sometimes it's important that we wave the white flag. So if I were you, I would just reach out via text. I would see what's going on with her. You can utilize obviously a multitude of different variations of texts. If you're not familiar with how to reach out to your ex, I would highly recommend the Text My Ex product, which is something that I specifically created for this situation. And I can link it down below so that you have it. But what I would say is I would probably go with something along the lines of like a memory text, right? So I would initiate contact and I would do something along the lines of, let's say, for example, you're walking down the street and there's a restaurant that you guys used to go to all the time, or there's a park that you guys used to go to, or there's just something that was a positive memory that you guys shared. I would either snap a picture of that restaurant and send it to her randomly and say, hey, I was just passing the restaurant, made me think about you. Hope you're doing well, or something along those lines, right? Because what you're doing is you're opening the lines of communication in a more of a casual way. And you're also attaching it to a positive memory. So that's something that I think is really important. That's something that you can give it a try and see if that works, and then just take it from there. Again, obviously that texting product I think has been incredibly helpful for a lot of people. There's been a lot of positive feedback around that product. So again, I'll link that in the comment box down below before we jump off of the live, so you can utilize that as a resource. The next question comes from Brandon, which is, hi, Coach Tanny. Do you have any tips on getting over an ex if they are in the same friend group? It's been about 3 months and I can't seem to get over her. So that's a little bit of a difficult situation. Completely understand how confusing that can be, because if you are trying to create some space from this individual but they are part of your same friends group, obviously that adds a level or a layer of complication to the matter. What I would say is, if you guys are all part of the same friends group, obviously there is individual friendships within that group, and then there's also specific dynamics around the group as a whole. So I would probably sit down and have a conversation with your friends in that group, right? With the exception of your ex, and let them know that you're trying to basically get over the situation, because my assumption would be they probably know some of what's going on, and let them know that when it comes to group activities, you will most likely not be joining for a period of time. If your ex is going to be there, you're more than happy to hang out with them individually, or maybe do like little separate group type situations, just until you feel like you've gotten to a place mentally and emotionally that you can be in a group setting with your ex and not have those visceral feelings, right? So it's not about you abandoning your friend group. It's not about you ghosting them or anything like that. It's really just about prioritizing yourself, your emotional well-being, and making sure that you are at a place where you feel that you are comfortable enough to be able to hang around the group. Because if you really think about it, your friends, I'm sure, can pick up that you are not fully yourself in a group setting like that. So are you actually authentically having fun? And if you're not having fun, if you don't feel like you're connecting with the people around you because you're too concerned about what your ex may be thinking or the feelings that you have, it's not really benefiting you to hang out in that setting anyways. So I would remove myself from the situation, but obviously keep your friends in the loop regarding communication so that they know what's going on. That would be my recommendation. I would say maybe do that for the next couple of months. See how you process. Obviously, in that period of time, work on self-development, work on really regaining a sense of self-confidence, maybe working on your self-esteem. Maybe there are certain hobbies that you've been wanting to do that you haven't had the opportunity to do because you've really been in this rut, in this bad place. Like anything that you've been wanting to do, I would start to focus on those things in the next 2 months and just to remove yourself from that situation to help you to start to move on and to heal and to process. Let's see. What is the next question? Uh, oh wow. Okay, we got a lot more questions that came through here. So Boo says, "Hey, Coach Danny, can a depressed man really break up with his girlfriend because he is having difficulty feeling his emotions?" The answer to that is yes. Depression and anxiety are very difficult to manage, to navigate, not only for the individual who has it, but for the partner or the people around that person, right? And if he has gotten to a place mentally and emotionally where he is very drained, he's not motivated, he's not inspired, that's going to directly impact how he navigates his life, right? And how he reacts to the people around him, his perspective and his perception of the world, of the people around him. And it causes a level of additional anxiety, right? When they feel like they are not themselves, and to feel pressured or to feel responsible for somebody else when they are having difficulty even maintaining a level of joy or happiness for themselves can be incredibly draining. And look, at the end of the day, too, if he is not himself and he is struggling with depression and anxiety and all of these things, you're not really getting the full authentic version of him anyways. So the short answer is yes, absolutely. People can break up with people because they suffer from depression, anxiety, and they are not where they want to be in their life mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, all of those types of things. So what I would recommend is just giving him space, allowing him to figure his stuff out and not pressuring him into wanting to work things out, answer questions, all those types of things, because it's just adding additional pressure, which is not going to help the situation whatsoever. Let's see, Chris. Hello from New York City. What's going on? So my girlfriend broke up with me 2.5 months ago, and I went into a no contact immediately. What would be your thoughts on what steps to take next? Thanks. Okay, so Chris, this one's a little bit difficult because obviously I usually like to I ask more questions surrounding the situation just so I have a better idea. Because when we're talking about reaching out to an ex, there's a couple of things that we want to take into consideration, right? So we want to take into consideration the severity of the breakup. We want to take into consideration the reason for the breakup, um, the overall history of the relationship, the points of contention that may have led to the breakup themselves. All of those things play a factor in how long it takes you to reach out and what you're going to say when you reach out. If it's been 2 months that you've been in a no contact period, I guess I have a couple of questions. The first question is, how long was the relationship? Was it a long term relationship? Was it a short term relationship? Was it a long distance relationship? Um, what were the reasons for the breakup? There's a lot of things, but what I would say to you is, generally speaking, if it was a amicable breakup, right, where there wasn't a lot of hostility, a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, there's multiple ways in which you can reach out. You can utilize a memory text, you can utilize a neutral text, you can even utilize an apology text if you feel like that's what's called for. I did talk about obviously the memory text a little bit earlier, in the during the live, but the neutral text is more so something along the lines of like, "Hey, hope everything is going well. Haven't spoken to you in a while. Wanted to check in." Just to open up the lines of communication. Basically, what I would recommend again is the Text My Ex program, especially if you're trying to open up the lines of communication, because that will help guide you. It breaks down very specific situations, what text you would utilize in that situation. And then it also kind of gives you a guideline in regards to a schedule as to when you would text and what you would text, how long you would text for, and then how to progress that communication. So I would highly recommend that. Again, I'll put that in the chat box below. Let's see, Tiffany, she said, you say it's going good. After I had a phone session with you, a couple days later, he reached out, missing talking to me, and we had some conversation to go over the issues. Okay, well, that sounds like improvement. So that's awesome. Hopefully the conversation went well. Hopefully you guys were able to kind of work through some of those issues or really just kind of unpack some of the conflict that you guys had. So let me know, actually, because if we did have a phone conversation, that means that you have my email. So keep me updated. Let me know. Let me know how that went. Let's see. Okay, scrolling. Sorry, guys. Give me a sec. So, Asia. Hi, Danny. I think a guy I know who has a girlfriend likes me. He's coming in to help me at work for free, looks into my eyes, texts me sometimes with X. I don't know if he really likes me. He said, I'll come in next week to help you. Why is he helping me? He's an antique dealer and I work in a charity shop. So I don't know if this is why, but he just helps me out without buying anything um, anyway. Okay, so this one is a little bit of a loaded situation for me because I would want to know a little bit of history here. It's very possible that he may not be in a happy or satisfied relationship, and maybe that he's just a very um, empathetic guy, a very understanding, helping, wants to support type of individual, and that may come off as flirting. I mean, obviously, texting with an ex or making long eye contact and all those things are indications and signs of flirtation. The one thing that I would be very careful with is if you are wanting to find out whether he is flirting with you and you're wanting to pursue this beyond just a acquaintance or just random connection in that way, there's a big red flag considering the fact that he is currently in a relationship. So if things do progress to the point where there is communication surrounding his feelings for you or whatever the case may be, I would make sure that you are very clear on boundaries, because getting into a dynamic or a relationship with somebody who already is in a relationship is usually an indication that that history may repeat itself. So just be very cautious and wary of that, and keep that in the forefront of your mind. Let's see. Ryan Douglas. Hi, I'm Ryan Douglas from Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago, that's amazing. I've actually never been there, but I would love to go. Roller Girl. I work with my ex. We have known each other since 1983. We are better friends today. He is family. Sometimes it works out that way. You are absolutely 100% on point with that. Not every breakup ends in animosity and anger and frustration and no communication and all of these things. Sometimes both individuals, both parties decide that they feel like they would benefit from maintaining at least a level of friendship as opposed to not being in each other's lives whatsoever. So, I'm very happy for you, Roller Girl. I'm glad that you have that opportunity to be able to have that connection and that dynamic with an ex, because a lot of people don't. And that's a very special thing. So also speaks volumes in regards to your level of emotional intelligence and your ability to communicate effectively and to be able to really just kind of set issues aside and let bygones be bygones. So that's amazing. Danielle, hi, how are you? How do you suggest going about difficult conversations, conflicts within a relationship with less anxiety, fear of losing the partner? That one is a bit of a loaded question, Danielle. And the reason why I say that is because there's a lot of things that go into that, right? So the first thing that I would tell you is when you say you want to be able to resolve conflict without going into the situation with anxiety and fear that you're going to lose that person, immediately for me, where my mind goes is self-esteem, and your awareness around yourself, right? How strong you are in your identity, your confidence, the worth that you think that you bring to the table, and all those types of things. Because at the end of the day, 100%, it is natural for us to not necessarily want to have conflict with somebody that we are in a relationship that we love and all of those types of things, because there is always an underlying fear that that might result in frustrations, resentments, angers, and it might lead to a breakup. So it's not that that is abnormal. I think it's more so about understanding that the reason for you wanting to resolve conflict is so that you do not end up in the situation that you fear most, which is not being in the relationship. So better to have communicated how you are feeling, right? As long as you're doing that productively, than to not. Because when you don't, what happens is that you internalize, you compartmentalize, you become resentful, you become angry, you become frustrated, and that starts to impact you and your self-confidence and your self-esteem, which then contributes to you having this fear and this anxiety and not feeling like you're good enough or whatever the case may be. So for me, I think this would be a practice in self-esteem. There's an amazing workbook that I would recommend. It's called the Self-Esteem Workbook, and you can purchase it on Amazon. You cannot miss it when you type in that title, the Self-Esteem Workbook. It's this book that's yellow and orange, and I would highly recommend utilizing that because it helps you to build up your confidence, number one. And number two, like I said, if you're wanting to maintain the relationship and you're wanting to remain in a healthy relationship, it's going to involve you communicating your needs and your expectations and knowing that those needs and expectations are important for you and should be important to your partner is better than not saying anything at all. Let's see. Brandon, you are very welcome. Yaxter, Coach Danny, sorry for me rubbing my nose, guys. I know that's probably not attractive whatsoever, but the allergies out here in Los Angeles have been crazy because of the winds. Hi, Coach Danny. I've been with my wife for 25 years and our relationship feels dead. I want to file for separation, but she wants to go for a full divorce. I say, okay, please file, but she keeps stalling. So completely understand. And I empathize with you because that's an incredibly difficult situation to be in, to be in a 25-year relationship and to finally reach a point where you feel like you want to move on from the situation, can be very emotionally taxing and it can be confusing. If she wants a divorce and you want a separation and she's the one that's pushing for the divorce, what I would recommend is sitting down and having a very transparent conversation and saying, hey, look, I'm willing to file for separation. I'm happy to take the lead on this. But if you want a divorce, then basically I'm going to need you to basically take the reins and take the wheel and start the process. If she continues to stall and you just know that for yourself, you do not want to be in this relationship anymore, you have come to the place mentally and emotionally that you don't want to work on things, then I would just take the lead and probably start the divorce proceedings, so that you don't have to sit around in limbo and wait if you've already decided that you no longer want to proceed in the relationship. Let's see. Brandy D, how do you move forward in a relationship after infidelity? How do you stop the panic attacks and anxiety from the infidelity? So first and foremost, I am so sorry that you're going through that. That is incredibly difficult. I work with clients day in and day out who are working through through infidelity, right? And the breaking of trust and what that does to your psyche and the way you view yourself and all of those things. So number one, it's very important to be patient and give yourself time and give yourself space, right? Because this involves processing, this involves healing, this involves repair. So I would recommend taking a step back, maybe separating yourself from the situation for a while and really allowing yourself to sit with what happened, number one. Number two, it's very important to understand that your feelings in this are valid, right? So the anger, the frustration, the resentment, all those things, it's valid because the trust has been broken. Now, that being said, it's very important that we also take a look at, the relationship as a whole. And this is always a trigger point for a lot of people because I usually will say, okay, well, a relationship is a two-way street. So what needs and expectations were not being met for you, and what needs and expectations were not being met for your partner that may have potentially led to the infidelity? That does not mean by any means whatsoever that it is excusable, right? Because that's a decision, that is a choice that your partner made. That being said, what was going on in the relationship that may have caused your partner to get to that place? And again, it may not necessarily be something that you did. It may be something that they were going through internally that they refused or didn't communicate effectively, right? So it's really about taking a look at all angles and then understanding that this is going to take time. If this is something that happened recently, of course, the feelings are going to be very visceral and you're going to be very upset and angry and all of those types of things. That is natural. And the anxiety and the panic attacks and all of that stuff, as difficult as they may be, they are also a part of the process. It's actually part of you unpacking things and healing and repairing and all of that. So, again, what I would recommend is taking a step back, really focusing on yourself for some time, practicing meditation, journaling, maybe going on a walk or on a run or something when you're starting to feel those feelings coming up, if you have the ability to do that, just to get the excess energy out. And the last thing that I would recommend is that we do have an infidelity training that we have created for people in your situation. And it's been incredibly helpful for a lot of people. And you can find that on our website. So that's www.happily committed.com. And we have a section where we have products and trainings. And if you click on that section, you will find the infidelity training. You'll find the texting training, what I've been telling you guys about. But again, let me try to link that in the comment section below. So give me 1 second. I'm going to link some things here so that you guys have it. If you guys feel like you just need a little bit more assistance, right? You feel like you need to have a one-on-one conversation just because your situation is very particular. I have put in the chat box a link to the one-on-one coaching sessions. Let me take a look here. All right, so I put it in there twice. I'm also going to put my email, my coaching email. So if you guys have any questions about the products that I'm talking about, if you have any questions about one-on-one coaching sessions, you can reach out to me directly on this email, and I will respond to you. It is likely that I will not respond today because it is Sunday, and I usually don't work on Sundays with the exception of the lives. But I will absolutely get back to you tomorrow. CoachDanny.com. Okay, perfect. So I put that in there for you guys. And then give me 1 sec. Let me link the texting program. I believe that I have it right here. Yep. So I'm going to put this in the chat box below, like I said, and make sure that you guys are utilizing that link to grab that training. I'm telling you guys, if you're trying to open up lines of communication with your ex, this product will help you exponentially. It will guide you through everything that you need to do so you feel like you have that constant one-on-one supports. All right, so all the information is there, guys. We are at the 26-minute mark, and my lives are usually about 20 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have another question and answer next week, next Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it will be on our With My Ex Again YouTube channel. So if you have not been there before, I would highly recommend checking that out and subscribing. It's called Love Advice TV. So go and check that out. And I will see you guys next week on my next live. For anybody that I was unable to answer your question, I apologize. Like I said, I try to get through as many as I possibly can. But again, you have the option and the ability to join me on my live next week. And then you also have that texting product, and you have my email, and you have the link to the one-on-one coaching session. So anything that you guys need, I have provided you with the information in the chat box. And I hope you guys are having an amazing Sunday. And I will see you guys next Sunday. See you later.